that park was a mess.
We did not fit. There was no way to level this RV whatsoever.
No way.
I laid out the pretty white rug for you guys, and we cleaned this little corner of the living room.
Yeah, this little corner.
Only
The
this
only
corner.
stuff that you can see.
We are Jason, Julie, Emma, and Hudson. We decided we were ready for a new adventure, so we sold our house and we are traveling in an RV full time. We are excited to see what God has in store for us. Follow along as we hit the road in the slow lane. Get out there and make more of every moment. Hey guys, we just wanted to do, we've got Daisy right here. We just wanted to do a little updated video. Because we are coming up on our 3-month anniversary of being on the road full time. So we launched in June, and it is now September, and we are in, where are we?
Oregon.
We are in Oregon.
We are a long way from home.
That is a long way from home.
It is beautiful here. I had no clue that the Oregon coast is as beautiful as it is.
Yeah.
And the temperatures are cooler. That's why you see that we have our fireplace on. And so we just wanted to make it a little bit cozy today. We've been having to wear jeans, which is, it's been a nice change because we were in the desert for so long.
Yeah.
And I think at one time it was up to 109 degrees outside.
Yeah.
So it feels like fall, and we're just excited to be here. We have plans. We're going to be heading to Washington next. But we wanted to just give a little update, go over all the positives and negatives to RV life because there's both sides of it, and we always want to be honest with you guys. So we will kind of take you back. I'm going to put some videos. I will put them somewhere on the screen. Check those out. We have one where we gave a final tour of our house, and then we have one where we're doing a tour of this RV. So you need to check those videos out, and a lot more that are on there as well. But those are some that I will highlight there for you if you are new to our channel.
On this trip, we've been 3 months out in the motorhome. Left home, first real stop was in Texas. Did an overnight on the way just to break up the drive. Stayed in Texas for a while. Bounced to the panhandle of Oklahoma just a little bit. Then New Mexico up through Colorado. We've been looping across the west. Spent a lot of time in California, up the coast. Did Disneyland.
Yeah, that was fun. That was so fun.
Went up to San Francisco. Stayed
met
at Half
Carl.
Moon Bay. Introduced ourselves to Carl frequently. If you don't know, Carl is the fog in San Francisco. He's famous enough he has a name.
Yeah, we didn't.
He followed us everywhere.
Yeah, we're not making that up.
We bounced back inland to Yosemite, back over to the coast, and we've come up the coast of Northern California through the Redwoods. We're in Oregon. We're going to go up the coast into Washington, and then from Washington we head back east because you can't go any further west.
Yeah.
Not in a car.
My favorite thing we've been to is the Redwoods. Definitely.
It was amazing. Those trees.
Yeah.
They're impressive.
Crazy.
Yeah, they're huge.
We've seen a lot of cool things, but the way my mind works, mountains are supposed to be huge. I've seen huge mountains my whole life. I've never seen the Redwoods. The Redwoods were impressive. To think that a living thing can be that massive. They were huge. And we saw the sequoias. They're huge and fat. We didn't get to see Sequoia National Park. It is sort of out of the way of everything, so it was hard to fit it in the trip. But there is a sequoia grove in Yosemite that we saw, and those trees were huge. But
They're
were
beautiful.
just
It's beautiful there.
different than the Redwoods.
Yeah.
The Redwoods were monstrous.
They were our favorite because you actually get up close and personal in the Redwoods.
Yeah.
And they climbed on the trees. And
Love like the dead ones.
Climb.
Drove
It
the
was
Jeep
cool.
through a tree.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Yeah. Like the Redwoods, they just have so much more of them. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And they're lush and lots of other greenery around, and different elevations, different amounts of moisture, because they're all along the coast. It was neat, very otherworldly,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
indoor. From
Did
the
you have a
Ewoks.
favorite?
The Grand Canyon, it was, you would think that it wouldn't be as cool as it actually was because people, like hype it up so much, but it was
Worth all the hype.
It
It was
was
good.
absolutely beautiful. I think it helped because we actually got to stay inside the campground.
Yeah.
So we were just steps away.
Not inside
From
the
the
canyon, though.
Yeah.
No.
That wouldn't be too good.
No.
Not at the Grand Canyon, it was.
But guys, if you have a big rig, ours is how many feet? 39?
38.
Almost 39. feet
Almost
long.
39 feet. You can stay in the campground there. They only have like 2 or 3 spots. Maybe a few more than that.
Yeah, I don't know how many there were because we didn't do
It
the
didn't look like
whole
very
campground. But there were some spots for big campers.
that you can stay.
Yeah.
So that was
And-
awesome.
Full hookups, like walk to the little grocery store, general store kind of thing there.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Walk to the South Rim if you want to. It was close enough. We hopped onto the shuttle bus because it was faster, but it was still super close. The whole shuttle system at the Grand Canyon worked better than a lot of the other national park shuttles we've got on. The routes were convenient. The buses ran often. It was fast. They had a hub at the visitor center. All around, the Grand Canyon was great. The only thing that was, I don't know, less than ideal is they still had the visitor center closed. So you couldn't go watch the movie and the inside exhibits, but that's not what you're there for anyway.
Yeah. We had
our
movie
junior-
night.
Yeah, on our outside TV, we all
Oh,
like,
yeah.
sat
Yeah,
outside.
We
and
didn't
stuff.
think we would ever use that outdoor TV that's on our RV, but we really enjoyed it in the Grand
Yeah.
Canyon one
Yeah.
night.
If the weather's right and the
Mhm.
place is right, and we didn't have a lot of neighbors, and so it was good.
It
Yeah.
was good. We tried to take advantage of the Thousand Trails. I'll let Jason talk to you a little bit more about that, how we use it. There's different ways that you can use Thousand Trails, and have been good campgrounds, and then some, but that's just what you're going to get.
We've got a camping pass, which is their entry level cheapest thing that you can do. It's really all we're interested in. I think I don't anticipate ever needing one of the full memberships, but you do a yearly fee. It's, I don't know, the first year they always have specials. You could do it for about $500. The next year was, I don't know, $630 or something like that. Still very inexpensive considering that you can stay basically unlimited amount of time in a Thousand Trails park. You can stay up to 14 days at a time if you have one that you want. If you do that, you have to stay out of the system for a week. We did stay at the location in Colorado for 2 weeks just because we needed to basically burn off some time because we signed up to do a FullTime Families event. So we're pretty fluid on our agendas most of the time, but we'll have a few things like the FullTime Families event that we did, and then locations that have harder reservations to get that you sort of schedule your trip around. The reservations for Yellowstone were a little more difficult, so we've sort of scheduled the last leg of our trip around the Yellowstone reservations, and then the other things you can kind of fill in here and there between. So we did 14 days in Colorado because we needed to burn some time, and then there weren't going to be any more Thousand Trails for weeks anyway, so it didn't matter. The other locations we've done, if you stay 4 nights or less, you can go park to park unlimitedly, so there's no week out. Since we left Zion, we've stayed almost exclusively at the Thousand Trails, except for 4 nights at some California state parks on the coast, on the beach, that we were lucky enough to get into. And then 3 nights on a reschedule from one of the 1,000 trails that we just didn't fit in. It was a pretty place up in the mountains in Southern California at Idlewild, and there are a few big sites in it, but they were all taken. And that park was a mess.
We did not fit. There was no way to level this RV whatsoever.
No way to even get in a site.
No. Literally,
the sites
they
were
like
pretty crazy.
yeah.
Tons of them you would have had a hard time putting a van in.
Yeah.
It was rugged. Like
Yeah. We were driving
crazy.
We were driving through in the Jeep
uh-huh.
looking for a spot.
Yeah.
And there was this one site that was like that.
Yeah.
But this side, this side, so it was like that. But this side of the road was gone,
Yeah.
and there was a camper up there.
Yeah, I don't know how some of the people got in some of the sites they were in. But now that their neighbor was in, they weren't going to leave until the neighbor left. That's for certain.
So we ended up staying there because there was nowhere else for us to go, but we did not fit in a spot. So we tell them.
I parked across the face of 2 sites. Could have parked across the face of all 5 or 6 of them that were there because they were only big enough for a van or a very, very small pop-up or A-liner to park in. I don't even think you could have fit an R-Pod in these things. They were tiny. So we parked across the face of 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
And spent the night.
I figured we would get a knock on the door saying, what are you doing? You guys need to move. But there was nowhere for us to go.
Yeah.
We had to.
And it was a pretty area. Like, if you could have got one of the big sites, or if you had a smaller camper, and the weather felt great up there, the area was pretty up in the mountains. The drive up was a little hairy. It was steep and winding, and
so I would say, 28 feet and below?
15
24
feet
feet
and below.
Yeah, less than 28.
It all depends. Like I said, there
our size.
were some big sites, but they were all taken. And they had one that we probably could have fit in, but they'd had some rain and it was rutted, and we could have got down there, but I was afraid we wouldn't get back out. So it just wasn't worth it.
Having a rig our size does have some negatives because you can't get into all of those campgrounds, those really cool ones that are inside the national parks. But when you are living in this full time and you have our size family, it's just nice to have all the perks of having a bigger RV too. Yeah. And we did luck out, of course, with the one in the Grand Canyon because we did get to stay in that one. So you never know, you may fit somewhere. Yeah.
So we moved on and found just a normal private campground through Passport America that was more of a permanent living campground almost, but it was nice. Like 30 amp only, but it was sort of weird when we checked in. They wanted to inspect your 30 to 50 adapter to make sure it was in good condition, check out your sewer hose. They were looking after their power poles and stuff, which is good.
Yeah, we had never been to a campground where they had to check.
I hadn't. But there are a lot of these 30 amp outlets that are loose. They've been used, plugged and unplugged so many times that they're loose. So we've had 2 30 to 50 dog bone adapters that have had enough resistance. They've started to melt the plug a little bit. The electrical connection is fine, but the plastic of the plug is melting from resistance building up where the plugs are loose. So it's kind of good that they did that. They were protecting their equipment, which in turn protects your equipment. But it was very strange. Yeah, they had an inspection station, so they looked at your sewer hose to make sure you weren't going to make a mess all over the ground and didn't have a falling apart old raggedy hose. And they checked out your 30 to 50 adapter to make sure that it was going to not destroy their equipment. And we used that location to go to Disneyland from because it was closer than the other location we would have been. So saved a little drive time and worked out fine. And we spent 3 nights, I think, there just as a filler. But for the most part, we've been bouncing 1,000 trails. So
for the most part, they've all been pretty good. Sometimes there's activities, there's a good pool, and sometimes they have bare minimum hardly anything to do there,
Yeah.
which is fine. It's mostly, you know,
Depends
parking
on the
lot.
location.
Just depends on the
Las
area.
Vegas had very little to do. It was parking lot. It was packed in really tight.
Very, very tight.
But they know why everybody's there. They're not, people in Las Vegas aren't staying at the campground. They want to go to the Strip, or they want to go to, you know, one of the attractions around town, which we did and enjoyed. We were pleasantly surprised by Las Vegas.
We enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
So don't worry so much. You know, there is a lot of bad things that you're going to see in Las Vegas, especially if you're really looking for them. We saw some things. It's not all bad, so don't let that limit you on going there. Because if we had never gone, we would have missed out on so much that we got to enjoy that week. So.
And a lot of the resorts, the places are neat. You know, they make them look like
they're
New
gorgeous to
York
walk
or
through.
look like Paris. And when you go inside, the shopping areas were very nice. The restaurants are very nice. Even the older places, like we went to Circus just because they have free circus acts and have like a midway kind of thing where the kids could go play games. And Circus is older than the Hills. It was, you know, run down a little bit, but their little circus acts were good.
Cool.
The people were good at it.
Yeah.
It's not been the worst city that we've been to.
Oh no, not at all.
What other surprise city, the other direction, did we have?
We went to San Francisco.
I think we got really lucky because we talked to some locals, and then we watched other people on YouTube, and you look at the travel info on where to go and what to do, and everybody said San Francisco was a nightmare. Traffic was awful. Parking was awful.
We had a good
Everything
day.
was awful.
Yeah.
We
We
lucked
were
out.
so lucky.
was-
Julie and I wanted to go see the Painted Ladies from the Full House introduction from the old TV show. We pulled up, made like half a block, found a parking spot, walked right up. It was easy cheesy, nothing
Everything
to
was
it.
easy.
Like so
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
And then we wanted to do Lombard Street, the real Kirby Street that's so famous. Pulled right up. You know, everybody said, oh, the line's a mile long. It takes you forever to get to go down it. We pulled up. In 2 minutes, we're driving down the road. Like, you know, didn't even know where it was. Just punched it into GPS and rolled up. And here we are down the street before we knew it. Easy.
Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Huge
That was
highlight.
awesome, but way, way, way windy.
Very windy.
Tell them about it. What was your experience with the Golden Gate Bridge? What did you think about it?
Bridge itself was awesome, but it was so cold because the wind.
It was
Yeah.
freezing
I didn't
on the bridge.
really enjoy it.
It was very windy. Very
It was
windy.
just way.
Part of the wind was neat because you could stand up there
You can
and
feel
watch
the
the
bridge.
fog move, and the fog
Yeah.
is moving fast.
Yeah.
And the towers of the bridge cut the fog in half. So there's a clear spot as it comes off the tower, and then fog all around it. It was neat.
It was cool.
And we pulled up there, and where their visitor center is has a very small parking lot that normally you pay for, and I don't know how much it normally is because we found a parking spot first thing, which everybody says doesn't happen. And then I walk up to the parking kiosk where they've got a pay, do-it-yourself pay kiosk. It's got a sign on it. Kiosk is broken. Free parking today.
We just really looked at the whole day was
So
just
we parked,
crazy.
and we looked around in the visitor center and at this humongous section of the cable that's the same diameter the bridge is made out of, which is insane. It's bigger around than a basketball. It was huge.
No, it was
way bigger.
Way bigger.
like 3.
It
Like, it was huge.
No, it was like 5
Yeah, it was
basketballs.
huge.
It was huge.
Made out of individual cables, but it was neat to see how that thing was, because when you're on the bridge and looking at it, it looks very small, but it's not small. It's
No.
huge.
Jason mentioned earlier about the FullTime Families thing.
Yes.
That
And
was so fun.
so much fun. It can get very lonely on the road because they're missing their friends. I'm missing my friends. We miss our church and our family.
I don't have any
And
friends.
so it is lonely, and we signed up for a FullTime Families membership. And so they had a what they call a hangout. They have different events. They have a hangout. They have one that's called what? a rally, which is a little bit bigger. They have more stuff at that.
Yeah.
This one was more, the hangout is more laid back, which it's probably more our style because you have a schedule. So we did do quite a bit of things. We did quite a bit of hikes, and then we had food. You know, they would have movie night one night. So it was still busy, but you're still free to do your own things. Like if there's something that they're doing, you don't have to do it, and you can do your own thing.
We had run into just a funny happenstance that we'd ran into a boy in Colorado that Hudson played with a little bit at the playground.
Yeah.
And we pull up to the FullTime Families, and that little boy's there.
They were there.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
And of course, we hadn't talked to the parents or anything, but I was at the playground when Hudson was playing with that boy, and I was like, "Hey, there's that kid."
Yeah.
So we talked to their parents quite a bit at the FullTime Families, and then we ended up meeting back up with them in Vegas.
Yeah.
And they were actually staying
In
partially in their
Venetian.
camper, and then part of the time in the hotels there. So they stayed at the Venetian.
Yeah.
So we went and met up with them.
They gave us a tour of the
toured around
Venetian.
the
Oh my goodness, it
Very
was
pretty
beautiful.
place.
So pretty.
So there is community, guys, on the road. You don't have to be, completely to yourselves. I mean, you can be to yourselves as much as you want to, or if you're looking for that community, it is out there. So look into FullTime Families because they have so many events all across the United States. Let's talk a little bit about school.
It's horrible.
We are a lot busier, but then there's positives because we can kind of create our own schedule as far as if they want to do school in the morning or if they want to do school in the afternoon. They are using Bob Jones University, BJU. It's a wonderful curriculum. It's Christian based. There's positives and negatives to it, just like with anything.
Yeah.
We've set it up more like a college schedule, so they don't do all of their subjects every day. They'll do a longer session of a subject. So we're doing every other day. So they do 2 days worth of work for 2 subjects on one day, and then 2 days worth of work on the other subjects on the other day, and then rotate. Yeah. So at the end of 2 weeks, they've done 10 days worth of every subject. But if you look at it week to week, it alternates funny, but a little bit more like college is. And we've done that so there's less shuffling of books and DVDs and
when
changing.
You're in an RV, you don't have that much space, so it does make it a lot easier about getting your materials out.
And it eats a lot of time up for them switching subjects.
Yeah, I think that the way we're doing it now works a lot
it's working
better.
better. They did this last year as well.
Did a more traditional elementary school type session of it, where you did 1 day of every subject every day, and which worked out fine, but there just is a lot more logistics to it, where you're changing DVDs, because we do the DVD base, because you never know what your internet situation's going to be like.
And we've had a lot of places that have zero internet.
Yeah, like right now.
Yeah. And with the DVDs, they get their own teachers, which is nice because it's not so much on us. We're there for support when they have questions and things. But overall, you have pretty good teachers with BJU, I think.
Yeah.
So they were in public school before, and they do miss their friends. One of the pluses is that we can take field trips because we are already out here with lots of things to go see and do. If you have younger kids, make sure that you do the Junior Ranger program. They have all kinds of little pins that they have collected along the way to all the national parks that we have seen, and they're getting a pretty good collection, aren't you?
Yeah, we've got a lot of them.
I have been wanting to do some more RV related videos, but honestly it's always a mess in here because we're just going so quickly. We're traveling pretty fast. We travel about every 3 to 4 days, and so it's just constantly moving things here and there. So we haven't gotten into as much of the RV related stuff, but I think a lot of you guys are here for that, so we will try to start doing some more of those videos.
We lazy.
And we're lazy slobs.
We are lazy. But look, I laid out the pretty white rug for you guys, and we cleaned this little corner of the living room.
Yeah, this little corner,
only
the
this
only
corner.
stuff that you can see.
Guys, that is just part of RV life for you. It's a smaller space, so you can clean it. You can clean it a lot faster, but it also gets dirty.
You can
really,
get it dirty
really
a lot
fast.
faster.
Yeah.
So we have been moving pretty quickly, and one of the negatives to this is how fast you are traveling, and it can be very, very tiring.
Yeah, we've not figured out our pace. This trip, because of the couple of things that we had that were on set times, we have moved faster than we would have liked to try to cover, because we're a long way from home. We were driving through Oregon the other day, passed a sign when we come across Highway 20, said Boston, 3,300 and something miles. So
Wait, what?
yeah, Boston,
Yes.
Massachusetts, 3,356 miles or something, it said.
That
So
interstate took you straight?
well, it's a highway. Highway
it's
20, you could take that all the way to Boston.
Goodness.
But we're a long way from home. When we get to Washington, we'll be basically as far away from home as you could get in, the lower 48.
Yeah.
Of course, Alaska's a million miles away from everything, and Hawaii, you got to take a plane or a boat. But as far as driving, we are as far away from home as we can get, almost.
Right.
Yeah.
You need to check out our past videos. We have one where we're explaining how we still have a home base. It's not technically livable. It's a storage building that we purchased that we are keeping some of our things in, and then we are just taking advantage of hooking up our RV to the utilities when we are back in town. It's nice to have that home base because you do get very, very tired, and we miss our family and our friends. So our plan is to head back the middle or end of October. We should be back to Tennessee, and our plan is to stay there through the holidays. And so find your sweet spot if you are RVing. I think mine would probably be 5 days. Well, it depends on the area. It depends on what's there and what you want to see, but probably 5 to 7 days would be my ideal
Sweet spot.
There's been some places that were like, this, I don't like it here. So that's one of the positives, is that you can just pick up and leave if there's an area that you don't care for or not as much to do there. So.
Like I said, but the whole latter half of our trip has been anchored by Yellowstone, and then once we get to Yellowstone, we'll do Custer and the Black Hills and Mount Rushmore, and then we'll meander back home from there. But there's not a lot of like big wow things to go and see between there and home. There's lots of cool stuff, but it's not big deals. And once we get closer to home, it's not, we can go back and see it. This stuff in Oregon, Washington, California, this may be a one-time trip for us, because that's a long way from home.
It's a long ways.
Yeah.
We don't know what our plans are. We don't know how long we're doing this for sure. We really don't know. We're just kind of leaving that up to God and see where He directs us. But for now, we are absolutely loving this. Like I said, there's so many positives to it. I cannot believe the things that we are seeing, the experiences we are having. It is amazing. It really outweighs all the negatives. It's RV life. We have good days and we have really bad days. So that's just part of it when you live in a small space. Even when we lived in our sticks and bricks, life is not perfect, and you're going to have those arguments. You're going to have those bad days where you don't want to do anything. You don't want to go anywhere. Tell them about our pets. People probably want to know, how are we doing? If you've not watched our previous videos, we have
I will be back.
we have 2 cats and then Daisy, our dog.
Yes.
So it's a bit chaotic in here.
Here comes
sometimes.
Jingles.
Hudson is getting
Jingles
Jingles.
is mine.
It's the only time she'll be out of her bed today.
Yes.
Jingling.
She does not like any of us, but
Except
Emma,
for me.
she stays in her bunk all day.
And she's the laziest thing I've ever seen.
She allows
in my
us to
entire
feed
life.
her, and that's about all.
Yes. But she can be sweet sometimes. When she wants something, she's very sweet. And Emma, do you want to go grab? Do you want to go grab Felix?
Yes.
Show them Felix. Jingles and Felix tolerate each other when
Barely.
they have to. But it is stressful having animals with you traveling. They do pretty good. Daisy especially, she loves to go for rides. So when we are getting ready to, she knows when we're getting ready to head out because we have a little footstool up front and she hops on there to look out the window. So that's how you know she's ready to go.
Here's
The cats know when we're ready to go because they run and hide.
Don't get them too close together. It is hard having cats in the RV because they have claws. They like to claw things. We do have scratch pads for them that they use, but they still sometimes will try to claw something. But we love them, and the kids love them. So you do what you can do, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. I think that is going to do it for us. We just wanted to give you a little update to how things are going. And like I said, there's been really great things and not so good things. So far, we've been blessed to not have any Jeep or RV issues.
We had one, but it wasn't really an issue.
Yeah.
We'll probably do a video on that. We did not film that day because there was a little bit of panic. It's my only panic of the trip. But the shifter for the transfer case on the Jeep just popped off of the case. We're hitched up, ready to roll out, and the transfer case won't shift. I thought, uh-oh, this is bad because if we can't shift that thing out, then we can't tow the Jeep. But luckily, I crawled up underneath it, and it was a little bitty old thing. Snapped it back on in about 30 seconds, and we were ready to roll. But man, I didn't. It looked like it was bad for a minute.
Yeah. So, and doing RV life, just know that you will run into issues. I'm sure we will run into issues. It just hasn't hit us yet.
Yeah.
So, thanks for joining us, guys. We hope that you enjoyed this video, and we will see you guys in the next one. I forgot what I was going to say. Hey, guys. Hold on.
Never mind.
Yeah,
Take two.
Go.
She's losing her.
Her clothes are falling off. Daisy.
And then you want to go grab
Out.
Daisy's out.